Hey everyone, and welcome as we continue our study through the New Testament, looking at the 250 events in the life of Jesus. And today we're looking at Jesus calming the storm. And this is coming from Matthew 8, Mark 4, and Luke 8. And we have the verses here if we look at. I'm going to stay in Matthew with this one. I like Matthew's writing style, so I'm going to continue to stay there. But we see here that Jesus had gotten into the boat and started across the lake with his disciples, and then this fierce storm comes and strikes the lake or the sea is it's word for it's more lake size than anything, with the waves breaking the boat. And Jesus was sleeping during all this. I like the the image of that. And the disciples went and woke him up, shouting, they were panicked, saying, Lord, wake us, we're going to drown. And so Jesus responded with them, why are you afraid? You have so little faith. And he says this because he had been traveling with them for so long. They'd seen all the things that he can do, but yet they still just did not believe or did not seem to get that, everything that he could do. And so then he rebuked the storms and the waves, and suddenly everything turned calm. And the disciples were amazed. Who is this man? They asked. Even the winds and the waves obey him. And so it was kind of interesting because they're like, oh, well, we've seen him heal people, raise the dead, but now he can even tell the storm and the oceans and the weather what to do. And so it even amazed them more. And so the boat that they used here was probably the kind familiar to many of his disciples that they used for fishing boats. Josephus, who is a historian from that time period, wrote that there are usually about 300 fishing boats on the Sea of Galilee at any time. And so the boat was large enough to hold Jesus and the 12 disciples, and it was powered by oars or by sails. But during the storm, they would have lowered the sails and tried to steer it by oar more than anything, because if they left the sails, they would have been torn apart and just thrown all over the place. But the Sea of Galilee is an unusual body of water because it's relatively small. It's 13 miles long and about 7 miles wide, but it is 150 to 200 feet deep. It's really, really deep. And its shoreline is 680 feet below sea level. And so it's a weird, really, the way it's laid out is really unusual. And so sudden storms could appear over the surrounding mountainside and just, kind of show up. If you're from the South Georgia, Florida area like I am, we know what this is like in the summertime. It'll be 105 degrees outside, perfectly calm, perfectly normal, and in 5 minutes you'll have a torrential downpour with 40, 50 mile an hour winds come through. And this is what would happen, but it happened on the lake. And so what would happen was it would just suddenly appear, and it would produce 20-foot waves. And so the disciples here hadn't just foolishly set out on a storm. It's something that suddenly come upon them. And although they had witnessed many miracles, they still panicked. They still panicked in this storm. And so they woke up Jesus because they knew, all of them, a lot of them, not all of them, would have been experienced sailors. They were fishermen. They knew the dangers. And what they did not know and hadn't seen yet was that Christ could control the forces of nature. He could control the weather itself. And so they are shocked and surprised, like, who is this man? It's like, well, he's been telling you who he is. You should know this by now. But they still just didn't quite get it. And I mean, honestly, they don't get it really until after the resurrection. I mean, and I would say actually they probably don't get it. A lot of them didn't get it until the day of Pentecost. And so it was just, man, they were like us. They were just still trying to figure out. There's a lot we still don't get. There's a lot I don't get. And so, but the thing we need to realize is that we're going to encounter storms in our lives. It's going to happen, right? Followers of Christ and non-followers of Christ, it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have storms in your life. And we just need to make sure that and understand that God's going to be there for us. God can, can work it out. Just like he did for them. He calmed the storm. God can calm the storm. Jesus can calm the storms in our lives. And we just need to make sure that we focus on that, right? Jesus' power that calmed the storm can also help us deal with the problems that we're going to face. And so, and Jesus is willing to help if we ask. Now, it's not always going to be in the timeline we want. It's not always going to be the way we want. And sometimes we're going to have to go completely through the storm and to get on the other side. But even then, he'll still be with us there through the storm. And we need to make sure that we understand that and not discount how powerful he really is and how much he can work in our lives. So I just, want us to make sure we remember that Jesus can calm the storms in our lives. He can be there for just like he's calmed the storms with us. We need to recognize how powerful Jesus is and how powerful he can be, and put that faith in him. Because I think a lot of the times the reason we don't, we end up having to just face a lot of this stuff on our own or doing it is because we choose to. And when we choose not to put our faith in Christ, and we choose not to go lean into him fully when we're having some of this stuff. And so we just need to make sure that we do put our faith in, and we lean on him in any storm that we're going through, and rely on him. And again, I appreciate everyone who continues to watch these videos. I appreciate you sharing them. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please go ahead and do so. We're going to still produce several of these, can continue to go through some series and do some deeper dives. As always, thank you for watching.